you have to think of politics not as a destination, but a journey.
Right.
So it doesn't matter what happens now. I just continued. So I would visit the community. I'd do all the things I would normally do and try to do as much of what I could do had I won. So sometimes I'd be an absolute nuisance to some ministers. Like one day Rufai yelled at me. He goes, even the senator doesn't worry me as much as you do.
Welcome to the Unfinished Bridge podcast, a production by the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Foundation to inspire and promote a just and inclusive Nigeria.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unfinished Bridge podcast. Today, we have a very special guest with us, distinguished Senator Kingibe. Thank you for coming, and we'll be talking about women in governance. With me is Halima.
Hello, how are you both?
We're fine,
Good.
Thank you.
Excited.
So we'll get right into it. You're one of the only 3 women in the Senate. How does that feel?
At first, a little odd because there are only 2 other women apart from myself. And truthfully, in the beginning, I didn't think the Senate was gender friendly, but we started getting to know each other. And anytime you accuse any man of not being, he will say, "Oh, how? You know, let me fix it." Nothing was intended. So we should be more. That's the truth. We should be more. And this is, I think, the worst it's ever been. The last Senate had 9. This one has 3. And recently, I started lobbying the men to the fact that there's so few women. I didn't have to because they too they felt a little embarrassed, I have to say. So I then found this document that listed all the parliaments in the world, lower houses and upper houses, and how many people total, and how many women, and the percentages. And we were ranking 182 out of 186. So I sent it to all of them for them to see that it's not just about women, it's also about the whole country.
Country as a whole, yeah.
Yes, because they were shocked to see that countries like UAE, Saudi Arabia,
even had more.
They all had more. And it's like, how? I said, well, that's how it is. Mm-hmm. But I'm getting to know them. Also, truthfully, it's sometimes easier to convince the men to do things, especially since we're not aggressive about it.
Yeah.
And so
there were 1,049 women who ran in the State House of Assembly elections, and only 57 were elected. I think that's a crazy number. Why is it so difficult for women to be elected?
Did they run were they on the ballot or in the primaries? Because one of the things I have noticed, when women are on the ballot, it's not that difficult to elect them. But they sort of weed us out in the primaries because they bring in a lot of issues. Okay, for instance, take this place. In some of the parties, you're a woman, you're running, and you believe everything that's the other thing. We're also a little naive politically.
That's true.
You believe everything everybody tells you. They tell you, oh, the primaries have been postponed. We'll do it another day. The next morning they tell you, oh, we've done it. So and so person
right from
won.
The start, there's already been sidelined.
You understand? So you're like, how? So those are some of the issues. The other thing too is violence. It sort of puts women off a little bit.
Yes.
You have there were many times when I'm in certain situations, I'm afraid. So you have to decide that, are you going to do this? I'm sure the men were afraid too, but they still did it.
That
so
shouldn't deter you. Yeah.
So those are the issues. And I strongly believe that unless, especially women in governance and in politics, unless we legislate it, when we do legislate it, the parties, that's where the problem lies. Because even in saying 3 delegates per ward, when the parties do not specify how many women, they bring all men. But from the minute they start saying, and one must be a woman. They bring women. So there's this, I don't know if it's cultural.
I think a lot of it is cultural.
Where the men just disregard the women.
Yes.
Unless it's mandated. And they know that, they're not going to accept this list if there are no women on it.
True. I think I was reading something earlier, I think just before you came in, and I think he was saying when he came to Nigeria, he was speaking to a customer service person, and I think something happened to his line, and then when the woman picked, he was yelling at her, yelling and screaming and cursing. But the next time, and the call cut. And when he rang again, it was a man that picked, and automatically his voice just changed, and he was not shouting and screaming. And then it took a lot of reflection for him to go back and be like, okay, so what is this? So I think a lot of it stems from culture and how we were raised. So I think we have to go back to the roots.
Yes,
so
and that's why.
Bias,
And that's why I think the legislating, even within, there's sometimes, even in the Senate, there are only 3 of us women. I sometimes feel that we could be more included in things, considering there's so few of us. It's not like 100 people are struggling for just 3 women. Even sometimes when you want to speak, okay, all right, the Senate president, he's a little bit more aware sometimes, especially since I'm going to say, how many women are there? You're not recognizing me. So if I want to speak, he would let me. But there are other times when we're a group of people, men and women, and you're the only woman there, you're trying to speak. I would think that it should be so easy for somebody to say, okay, let's hear her.
Let's hear them.
Her view. This is going to be different. You have to sometimes like, hey, look, I want to speak. So
you still have to fight for your voice at that point.
Even within my own organization, I'm female. And I tell my people, go bring me 20 people. If I don't make a fuss, they put 2 women there. And I said, no, we can't do it this way. Recently, I asked for 4 women out of 10. They brought me 2 or 3. I looked at it. I said, no,
go back and get
I don't accept this list. Of course, they frowned a little bit. But exactly. And I have to go through that all the time with the men.
So what reforms do you believe we most need to promote gender equality and increase the representation in politics, basically?
A few things.
Okay.
Apart from legislation. Secondly, I think we need to create more awareness with women. One of the things I feel, and I think that women are ripe for it. In FCT, I can say that I won and got such huge votes. The men voted for me. I'm not knocking it. They did. Right. But a lot of women voted in a non-partisan way. Meaning, your PDP or APC or whatever P. You don't care. Oh, she's a woman? She's got my vote.
Yes.
Oh, she's a woman? I'm campaigning for her. Oh, she's a woman? I saw a lot of that. So I feel that we are ripe for promoting women in a non-partisan way.
I think we're there.
One of the things I want to do, but I need to get other women to assist me, and I want it to be non-partisan. So I'm going to reach out to APC and PDP women and other smaller parties.
From other parties.
And I will find a way to fund it, which is an office that we have a database of all women who are registered to vote in every ward. And then as we go along, we speak to the men or whoever is running, and then let the women know that, in your ward, these 3 people are running for councillors. He doesn't like women. We suggest that you all go and vote for X. Once you start using your vote, not just as a lobby block, meaning that the men have to understand that, you have that attitude. Don't worry, there are a lot of us. When time comes for voting, we're going to vote against you. It would help. But we need to collect the data. We need to find a way of communicating with the women that helped. FCT is different. We're a little bit more enlightened than the average state. People are more literate. So it was easier to communicate with them and make them understand the benefits of being a woman. Even certain places where maybe the chief of that place may not be so gender friendly. His wife will tell you, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
I can see that if you're a senator, I can get up and come and meet you without having to speak any long grammar to him.
Yeah.
I can do so many things with a woman. So it's in my interest. The other thing that the women used to say each other, when women talk to women, women understand. There are times you really don't have to go into great detail about what the issues are when the person you're talking to is a woman. So those things helped.
Yeah, I totally
you understand?
Agree. Yes,
they did. Yes. They certainly helped me. And I'm trying to mentor women. In my party, obviously, as the senator, I'm the leader of the party because I'm the highest elective office. So one of the things I'm trying to do, I'm trying to use my money to buy party cards so that I can get more women involved in politics. So when it comes to congresses, well, maybe I shouldn't say this now because I'm trying to do it and I find everybody just wake up and see that, where did all these women come from? Yeah, because when there are more women in the congresses, then you're more likely to, if not elect women per se, but men that are he for she, that are gender friendly, as opposed to the ones that act like women are non-persons. So that, and also trying out of the 62 wards, I'm trying to shoot for 25 to 30 councillors.
That's very ambitious.
It actually isn't. 25 councillors out of 62? No, I don't think it is, because I think that I can do the same things the men do. Which is that I tried to do it a little bit in the more well-established parties, but it was harder. Meaning that, okay, you don't have money for form, here's the money for the form, here's money for campaign, here's this campaign, take you to the places and talk to the people who will now vote for you because they see that I'm a woman and I've done some positive things for them. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
And also in the FCT, they believe, I don't know whether it's just in the FCT, that women are they're more trustworthy, they keep their word more, they are kinder.
So there's a bit more work to be done outside of FCT.
That's true, because in the FCT, there has been a female senator, and she was much better than the men, in the sense that women are more compassionate. There are times when I don't really have the money, but when you come to me with your sub story, I think about it and I say, oh, his wife is going to die just for 70K. I go and find it. And I think that's the nature of women. I don't think that I'm special. I think most women will respond that way. And also, there's a limit, I think, to what most women would do, especially when you think about how it will affect your children.
Family, yes.
Exactly. You sort of, it's not worthwhile, and you don't do it. And that also matters.
Let me jump in here with a bit of my personal political rendezvous. So when I was in university, I ran for president of student government. So right from the time I even began to think about the running, and I told my friends, the first things I would hear were, are you sure you want to go for the topmost position? Wouldn't you rather just maybe VP, So I want to ask you, what kind of stereotypes did you encounter while you were running?
Well, you will get that a little bit. Okay, I had the advantage of being a little bit older than the men I was running against, a little bit more educated, a little bit more of everything. So it made it a little bit harder. But not to say, I must say, I personally believe that my opponent wouldn't be so upset if I was a man that beat him. I think he's more upset because I'm female, because that is there. I can feel it. He hasn't said it's because I'm female.
Well, you can feel it.
Yes.
Yeah. I can sense it.
How can I lose to a woman?
Mama, you got to really, how can I lose to a woman? So that is there. And there are certain things they'll tell you, in Hausa, I'm Atabasa Zwa. Women don't go there. You understand?
Yeah.
But
some rubbish.
I just have the attitude of, oh, no problem. It's an Aure. Yeah, you can have the money. I'll send my representatives who are men. Mm-hmm. So I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been very, was tenacious about it. So I've grown a really thick skin. I don't really get very upset when you start
such comments.
Yes, because I'm female, I just shrug it off.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You do get it.
I think thick skin is needed
even for that 25 women that I'm talking about. Somebody who respects me, that I give a lot of support to for us to do things politically, he sounded horrified. He's like, what? 25? You want to kill us? Ajia, what is this?
Crazy.
And I'm like,
the women want to take over.
Yes, I said to him, 25 out of 62, and you're crying. The men are still the majority. Exactly. What are you fussing about? Mm-hmm. He goes, no, that's too much. Even when I said, how about chairman? He goes, no, madam, let's look for them. They can be vice. I said, no, they're not being vice. They're going to be chairman.
You ran a phenomenal campaign in the FCT. So what is the most underrated piece of advice, valuable, you think you would give to somebody who would want to follow in your footsteps?
Two things. I think that one of the things that I've noticed is lacking in a lot of women, we don't stay the course, we give up easily. Every time they just do you a little bit of rougher, you run indoors, and I think that has, because there were times when, as I said, I wouldn't just be scared, I'd be terrified. But then I tell myself, you want to do this? How many men have you seen run away? They still stay. So you too, you have to. That's one. So women have to be more tenacious. They have to keep at it, because each time you do it, you get stronger and you know
You're
more.
building the block
I've known
for
people, a young woman, she just missed being counselor by maybe a few votes. So the next election, I called her because I had funded her. I said, okay, so let's go do this again. She goes, no. I said, why not? She says, I'm afraid. I said, of what? There's nothing they're going to do to you now that you haven't already experienced. And this second time, it's a breeze. You're going to win. She didn't.
Oh my.
And that is the difficulty, convincing women
to go at it again.
To go at it and to actually even come out. Once they don't, everybody goes indoors. Secondly, I've, maybe because of what's motivated my politics, I believe in being sincere and honest. So that was part of my campaign. If you want this cup, I'm not sure I can give it to you. I tell you when I'm campaigning that I'm not so sure about the cup.
Upfront about
yes,
it. Yeah.
I don't know. Until I get there, I'm not sure what I can give you and what I cannot give you. But the things I can actually give, I say so. I try to be very, very honest, in spite of the fact that some people tell me, promise them anything, you don't have to fulfill it.
You're not.
No, I don't do that. So I think sincerity, I feel passionate about changing the country. I really do. We have so much potential that I feel it pains me to see how we're frittering it all away. And so that passion is what has kept me at it for the last 20 years. And truthfully, I actually got elected at a point where I was beginning to get tired. First, I didn't want to run anymore. Wasn't interested in politics anymore. I just told myself, you know what?
How many times did you run?
4 or 5 times. I have to count it from 2003 to now. Every single time. It doesn't matter how badly or how much you cheat me. You can tell me the elections took place yesterday. I will still come out when the next. And I must say, what gives me hope is that every time I've come out, I usually get enough of a following to make me feel that if the playing field was level,
you would definitely have.
Exactly. There was once where I was convinced to actually get in the race the day of the primaries. And I came, the person who beat me with 6 votes. And he had been in that party, had been in everything. I just joined them that day and they said run. So I felt that the people of the FCT, truthfully, have stayed the course with me. So this time when I didn't want to run, and somebody said to me, madam, this can't just be about you. All these years we followed you. Now you have to follow us. And that I agreed. I thought, okay, fine. I will do it.
That's amazing. And I think it's in all of this, I think the importance of having your own community and people that stick with you through it all. I think that's something that the younger ones also is a motivation for them.
Secondly, you have to think of politics not as a destination, but a journey. Right. So it doesn't matter what happens now. I just continued. So I would visit the community. I'd do all the things I would normally do and try to do as much of what I could do had I won. So sometimes I'd be an absolute nuisance to some ministers. Like one day Erufai yelled at me. He goes, even the senator doesn't worry me as much as you do, because I say, they don't have water in this place. This one didn't happen here. Because I then did not have the ability. I did not have the position to do anything myself. So I would have to lobby and harass the people who did. And I must say, he obliged for quite a lot of things. Boreholes, wells, things like that. He did do them. And most ministers do, though some don't. There was a particular minister I went to. I complained to him. I said, the minister before you, everything they bring for FCT, he splits it into two, takes half to his state. He did this, he didn't do that, he didn't. When he was done, he said to me in Hausa, meaning, sorry, me too, I'm going to behave the same way. So I just picked up my bag, I laughed, and I left. At least he made me understand that if you're expecting me to do all these things that you're concerned about, I'm not going to. I have an agenda also. And that is the problem with FCT. FCT, this minister thing, it's fine, but there needs to be more awareness that that people live here and they have needs.
Okay. Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
That is a problem. Most ministers, as I was telling the Senate president one day, I said, you have a minister who doesn't know anything about FCT. You bring him from somewhere else. Then you go and bring a chairman from somewhere else. So they're working together. Nobody knows anything about this place. The kind of places that politicians will go into, they would never have seen it. Like I'm saying, I want to take the minister to Karamajiji. He'd be horrified if he went there, because that's not the FCT most ministers know. They know Maitama Asokoro who said too. They don't know the interior, like you go into Gaza or all those places.
Some of them don't even know that a place like that exists.
Exactly. You're telling people, FCT doesn't have water. They're looking at you as if, what do you mean they don't have water? I have water in my house. I say, yes, you have water in your house. You live in Asokoro. I would say 70% or more of FCT does not have water.
Yeah.
Do you understand? We won't even talk about schools. I have a photograph of children in Kuje, not very far away. They're lying down, Cobra style, to look at the board. And this is a public school. So those are the issues.
There's a lot of work to be done.
There is a lot to be done. I have a part of what I'm doing, apart from my senatorial office and the constituency office, I have a development office where I'm liaising with development partners to do many things. And the other thing I'm doing based on the Sustainable Development Goals. And I think shortly, maybe in the next, because I've been away, I've been a bit unwell, they're going to open up the platform. So what I'm looking for are volunteers, like violence against women. How do I know what's happening in your ward? You do. So if you volunteer to be a marshal, an orange marshal, that means that you are keeping an eye on your ward, a few of you, and on like that. And when the marshals are all registered, I'm trying to see whether the UN will agree to train them virtually, since they'll be one of the first marshals, Sustainable Development Goal marshals that they are. So we can also do a lot of things for ourselves, working in conjunction with me. And in return, to motivate you, I'll give you data. So it's not, I don't pay you for volunteering to clean up when it's clean up day or green day or plant a tree or whatever, but I incentivize you by giving you data. And a lot of companies have 1 or 2 banks and a few people who've offered to pay for certain projects. So they'll pay for the data and they'll give you data and on like that. So I think that there are lots of young people who are willing to do things. You know, we act like young people are lazy. They're not. They're willing to do a lot if they're guided.
Yeah.
Halima, don't you think so?
I mean, I hold my peace.
You're not going to say?
FCT is very, very lucky to have you, if I do say so myself. And thank you so much. We don't want to hold you any longer.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining us on the Unfinished
And I'm
Bridge.
looking forward to working with a lot of young people. For instance, I've had people send me bills, things like that, because there are lots of things I can't know. But if you draw my attention then I can then start fussing and working on it. Recently, the zonal intervention project, the company said to me, but madam, we're ready to put the solar lights, but you haven't told us where. So I scratched my head. I said, FCT is so big. Where am I going to take the solar lights? Not just one community, but a few. But today, as I walked in here, I said, Karamajiji is one place that is going to go. Then they'll tell me the other places. So that's the way it works. And there are more and more and more. Part of the benefit of me being older is that most of the things that younger people go there and they're so excited. I can have a house. I want land. I want this. I already have all of so that. I'm trying to give back most of what I'm given. I spend it on the people.
I think that's very noble. Thank you so much.
It's just a function of age, I think.
Thank you so much. And we can't wait to have you again next time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.